Welcome to the Mountain Dude Podcast, brought to you by Initial Ascent, where we share stories of grit, determination, and the relentless pursuit of growth. This is a space where backcountry hunting meets the deeper lessons of life. Success born from struggle and the art of carrying heavy loads more comfortably, both physically and metaphorically, through faith and perseverance. Join us as we explore the paths that shape us, celebrate victories big and small, and fuel our journey with hope and tenacity. This is the Mountain Dude Podcast, where we climb higher together.
All right, welcome back to the Mountain Dude Podcast. We are here again with Kyle Kamp of Valley to Peak Nutrition, and man, we're so glad to have you back. Now we're going to get into the weeds here.
I like the weeds.
Glad you're here, man. This is part 2 of an important nutrition episode.
I'm ready.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, you bet. So, last time, we talked a little bit about how you became a dietitian. We talked about how Valley to Peak was started. You lost over 100 pounds in your journey, and you did that by making better choices, right?
Yeah.
In a sense, that's what you did.
That sums it up. Yep.
Yep. And folks here can get a lot from that. So we're going to have a lot of fun here. Okay. I have been looking forward to this episode for a long time. Let's start real quick with a prayer, and we'll get this thing started right. Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for Kyle. We just thank you for this opportunity to talk about hunting and talk about nutrition, and just, Lord, may we bless people out there with something that we say, and just somebody that's out there needs to hear something that we're going to say. And just, Lord, use us as a vehicle, and let us shine the light for you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So, we're done with hunts for the year, correct?
Yes.
You're done?
Done.
Okay. Talk to me. I want you to lay something out for us, okay? Now, are you a dehydrated, freeze-dried guy? Are you buying it at the store? Are you doing it yourself?
You don't know this, but you're teeing this up very well. Okay. We dehydrate all of our own meals. We do. Okay. And we wrote a dehydrate guide. We did.
Are you kidding me?
And it is hands down the best seller of all the resources that we've got. I don't know, when are you releasing this?
Probably here in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so we'll have a Black Friday sale, but we'll get a code to people that are listening to this, so it'll be $5.
Did you guys hear that?
It's not going to break the bank.
We're going to get this thing. Okay, that's awesome.
And if you can't afford $5, like I'll give it to you if it's interesting. But I dehydrate all my own meals for a couple of reasons. I am not averse to the commercial products. I mean, you'll hear a lot of people say these commercial products and list all of this, litany of reasons as to why they don't like them or prefer to use them. That's actually not at all the reason I drifted towards this. I went towards this because when I first started, there were no options. I mean, now there are so many options available. And when I first started, it was like you had the main 5 from Mountain House, and that was it. And number one, I'm fortunate to spend, 30 to 40 days in the backcountry through the year at some point. So it was getting fairly expensive to feed myself. And number two, I really wanted something other than those 5 meals. I just enjoy tinkering and enjoy doing my own thing. So yeah, we started dehydrating all of our own evening meals and the dinner. But I don't want that little story and the Dehydrate guide or whatever to deter you from where you were headed with that? Because you have I sense that you got like this direction that you're wanting to go with the freeze dried versus dehydrated.
No, I you know what? I've dehydrated stuff myself. I have for years. My wife, bless her heart, did purchase a freeze dryer for my 50th birthday, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but here's the thing for me. Whether you're dehydrating or you're freeze drying, I thoroughly believe in eating something that you're accustomed to eating and that you want to eat. Okay. So making your own meals at home and then either dehydrating or freeze drying those meals so you can eat them on the mountain. I am 100% bought into that. So I can continue the program that I'm on in the backcountry. I don't have to skip a beat. That's where I'm at.
Well, I think you're right, number one. But number two, from a tolerance standpoint, you always want to try to, you don't want your first time on the mountain to be your first experience with something. Western hunting's grown a lot in interest, right, over the last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years plus. And so you have people who have been planning to come out here for a long time and may make one trip and have an idea of what they want to eat when they're on these trips. But I would still encourage them, get a group of your friends over and buy a couple different things and everybody sit around and take samples of it. Because the one of the number one problems that we have found in working with people is if you're going to hit a wall, if your appetite's going to suffer, it's going to suffer on the mountain because of the intensity of the hunt. There's so many things that are up against you in the backcountry to make your appetite go in the tank. If you now have something that you can hardly stand the idea of to the point where you can't eat it, that is a sign up to get off the mountain, because you cannot require or ask your body of the physical things you're putting it through out there in consecutive days without fuel. Now, if you're going on an overnight, yeah, you'd probably be okay. Maybe even a couple days. But when you start to tap into day 3, 5, 7, I've been on like a 10 plus, the 10, the 7, the 5s, those days are not happening with the desire that you want it to be happening without fuel. So you try these things before you ever come out.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I mean, food is fuel, right? And the thing, if you are going to attempt that 5, 7, I mean, even 3 and 4 day hunts,
yeah,
and you're going to be expending the amount of energy that we do on these hunts, hiking miles and miles every day, perhaps. Not to mention, if you're with let's say you're with 3 buddies and everybody's got an elk tag, and you're fortunate enough within this 7-day period that even 2 guys harvest an elk.
Yeah.
You've got that pack out and the energy that you're going to expend there on top of it. And so you've got to be prepared to keep your body fueled. Now, not to say that you're going to be able to catch up with all the calories that you've expended, but you have to, in order to stay in the game mentally, physically, you've got to be able to fuel yourself. And for me, I know that you try to plan meals, and I get all wrapped up into calories per ounce. Do you focus on that?
0.
Okay. I have gotten further and further away from that.
Yep, 0.
Because I just want to put in stuff that I like, that I'm accustomed to eating. The worst thing that I used to do was I would go buy a bunch of stuff that I wasn't accustomed to eating because, you know, it's a calories per ounce thing. I'm trying to maximize the amount of calories that because I'm lightweight. I want to, you know, be as light as I can.
I have often said, and this sort of loops in episode 1 with this, I would rather be low on calories with the right type of fuel than to be nailing my calories with the wrong types of fuel. So when you talk about calories per ounce, that is always going to mean that you need a lot of fat, because it's going to be very difficult to meet those calorie requirements in a small weight package without relying on fat, because fat has 2 times the calories of proteins and carbohydrates. But just like we talked about in episode 1, if the intensity of the hunt, and even, you know, you have a lot of people that are interested in Western hunting that are also doing other things. They're doing ultras. They're doing some of these other really physical things. And so if the intensity of whatever it is that you're doing that involves a trail and involves long mileage is high, the fuel substrate you need is not going to be the lightest. And I would much, much, much prefer to carry a couple of extra ounces of what I need and what I like than to try to save weight to match this arbitrary calorie per ounce number full of stuff that I don't necessarily want. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think you're spot on the money.
Yeah, so true. And as we get older, we'll carry heavier weights to be comfortable and have our digestion
working
properly. We will absolutely do that. And I speak from a 50-year-old, you know, body here. I'm going to carry a little bit extra for a sleeping pad. I'm going to carry that inflatable pillow. I'm going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And I have to do that to get my rest, because my rest is so crucial back there. And I'm going to carry that extra half a pound of food per day to make sure that I stay fueled.
Yep, 100%.
So you talk about important nutrients. Talk about that a little bit more in detail. You know, what do hunters need in a day? Just take a day and what do we need? What's ideal?
Well, you're going to need carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. If you're getting those, your calories are going to come in to some level close to what you need, assuming that you are dosing those 3 nutrients, right? So every single calorie we get comes from carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We have some that come from alcohol, but that's a different topic.
Hopefully not on the mountain.
We'll start with protein, and I'll say a couple of things with regard to that. Common misconception is that protein is fuel. People are always looking for protein. You know, they'll say, like, I ate some protein for energy. Protein does not give energy. So you do not want this pack full of protein-based products, unless you're obviously, you know, following a carnivore-based diet for your own personal reasons. Those are not going to be the things that give you the best fuel. Now, define best fuel. What does that mean? We eat food, but we rarely think about that at some point, from the deliciousness that we eat to the point that we feel our muscles be able to contract and move up a mountain, there's a conversion that happens. The food you eat gets turned into fuel at some point in that period of time. The rate in which that converts to fuel depends on what you eat. Proteins get converted slow. Fats get converted slow. Carbohydrates get converted very quickly. So you don't want protein to be this idea of energy in your head. The second thing I'll say about protein is you don't want these mega doses, because it's not energy. You're not trying to grow a muscle on the mountain. You're trying to recover it. So you could go even lower than that 0.7 gram per pound threshold that we talked about in podcast 1, because you're simply trying to recover the muscle, right? And so that's what you need to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out, you know, what your protein dose is. If you want to go 0.7, you could, but a challenge is, how am I going to get 120 grams of protein in especially on a backcountry hunt.
That's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge, right? And now if you have a base camp and you got a cooler and you can make yourself a sandwich every day and come back and you can have a meal at night and a breakfast in the morning, that's a different deal.
Right.
But if you're talking strictly about packing in, it becomes a challenge. And I think we're going to get to like what I take. So we'll get there. And then fats are going to be relatively easy. They're either going to be intrinsically a part of packaged products that you bring, whether it's a bar or it's a peanut butter packet or it's oatmeal or it's whatever. Like, it's going to be fairly easy for you. Trail mix, everybody's got a bag of trail mix somewhere. It's going to be fairly easy for you to hit your fat number. So to be honest with you, that's one that I just kind of let fall wherever it's going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dosing most of my needs first off of carbs, and I'm trying to make sure that I get a certain number of calories based off of my personal needs from carbs regularly through the day. I might target 200 to 300 calories worth of carbs at breakfast, midday, lunch, mid-afternoon, evening will be generally more. But I'm starting with that premise, trying to fill in these gaps, right? So if you could picture a blank under each category of food, and category being by meal type, let's say breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever. I'd have a blank at carbs. I'd have a blanket at proteins. I might have a blanket fats, but very rarely am I going to have anything in there that has no fat to it, right? I mean, peaks alone have almost 50% of your average daily fat consumption in one meal. Mm-hmm. That's covered, right? And so it's not going to be very difficult to make up the rest of it throughout the course of the day. But to answer, the starting point of your question, you're trying to make sure that you're covering your basis on these different nutrient needs, beginning with protein, avoiding the two misconceptions about protein, making sure that you have plenty of carbohydrates of varying types, slow and fast digesting.
Okay, explain that real quick. Slow and fast.
Yeah.
Give me two examples.
Well, let me give you, so like if for archery elk hunting is a prime example of this. If you're moving and you've got a bull that you get fired up in the morning and he's going from feeding to bedding, and you're just trying to keep up with the herd to keep an eye on where he even goes, you're going to be moving a lot. You don't have time to sit down and eat. So fast and slow processing carbohydrates, you have one that's going to be breaking down slowly over time. Those are these slow processing carbs, and those are for the most part going to be whole based complex foods like oats, your oatmeal, or bread, or sometimes the constituent ingredients that make up a bar or whatever, right? It's going to be broken down very slowly over time. And the delivery of fuel from the point that you eat it to the point it goes to the muscle is similar, slowly over time. I want to come back to that and talk about how your body breaks it down too. Fast is almost instantaneous. You eat it and it's absorbed. So going back to archery elk, you're moving, chasing this, just trying to shadow this herd so you can find out where it goes and then make a play midday, or maybe you wait until they get up in the evening. You don't have time to stop and make a bowl of oats. And so you're wanting fast digesting carbs to where it's very limited time from the point of consumption to the point of delivery to the muscle that you're just hitting that muscle with more fuel so you can keep the pace. Otherwise your pace drops. God forbid you lose the herd and then you're back to square one, which that sucks. So these complex or these slow processing carbohydrates, you could envision a very long chain, like a chain link that you would put on your snow tires, for example. Mm-hmm. The value of eating those is you have your body, as it requires fuel, it breaks the link off, gives you the fuel, you metabolize it, you keep moving, but it leaves the rest of that chain intact. So time goes by and it delivers another link to you, and time goes by and as you need fuel, it delivers another link to you. But it's a slow process, whereas taking in those faster acting carbohydrates is like somebody's just giving you links, individual links, all the whole time while you're trying to move and eat it. So you want a combination of these different fuels and the knowledge on knowing when to use those. When do I lean on each type? And I think that again, as much as I hate this word, is going to lead towards more of an optimal intake, optimal fueling for some of these hunts. Now, let's say that you've got a October mule deer hunt where you're packing in. Day one, fairly intense. You're gaining a lot of vertical. You're trying to get to a saddle where you'll put camp. You're trying to find where your water's going to be. So you're moving a lot. But once there, if it's a big basin, you're not moving a lot during the day. So my day 2, 3, 4 might look less than day 1. And the nutrient that I'm predominantly dropping back on is carbs. If for no other reason than to save some weight. That's a good way to save some weight packing in. If I'm sitting around all day long, I don't need all that additional carbohydrate.
Yep.
Right? And so I might have one day for packing in, fairly heavy dose of stuff. One day for packing out, fairly heavy dose of stuff. And then in the middle, it might be less. Right, just to save some weight and save some fuel if I don't need it. Now, if I kill a buck on day 2, well, great. Now my day 5 pack out becomes just day 2, and I'm just going to take the 2 days that are wedged in there in between and pack it out.
Yep. Spring bear, I think about that a lot. You're sitting up on those glassing knobs for hours upon hours upon hours, picking country apart, trying to find those bears. And there's just not a lot of caloric needs there.
Yeah.
You're just being sedentary. And I remember 2 years ago, we had a couple of guys here from the shop, and I went with them on a bear hunt. It was their first backcountry bear hunt. And I remember Cody, and we laughed about this the whole trip, basically. He had Ziploc bags full of any cereal. He had the entire cereal aisle at Albertsons in his pack, and he would be sitting over there on Cocoa Puffs, and then he'd be eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And he's just sitting up there all day eating this stuff. And I was carnivore at the time. And so I had already had, my 4 strips of bacon in the morning, with a bunch of cheese and some freeze-dried eggs. And I'm just sitting up there, I knew most of the snacking that I had done in the past was out of boredom.
Yeah.
Especially on a bear hunt. But he's sitting up there pounding that stuff. Next thing you know, he's out.
Yeah. And it's a great spot to say you do want a mixture of these carbs, and I'll open this can and then we might have to come back to it. You want to blunt that response when not moving a lot with some protein intake, with some fat intake to slow that delivery down, right? So it's not just this rapid rise and then quick draw. Now that can bite you if you're moving a lot and if the intensity's high, because those nutrients are really difficult to break down, and it can actually complicate digestion and put you in a worse spot because you can't eat, because your GI system your body does not give blood flow preference to the gut when you're moving like that. It gives it to the legs, and so digestion starts to shut down. You don't want really difficult things to process coming in. What I've gone to doing on these other days, right, because you're just sitting up there glassing and you're bored, you just want something to do, is I will buy at Winco in the bulk section, there is this like combination of hard candies. There's a butterscotch, a root beer, one of those like Starburst mints. It's like the old school red whatevers. There's some Jolly Ranchers in there. I'll buy a bag of those and maybe take 4 for the day, and I'll just sit there and like kind of suck on those while I'm glassing. And then a lot of coffee, a lot of hot chocolate, or just little drinks that I've kind of got to pass the boredom and to stay warm, because it seems like those hunts that you're not moving as much are kind of on the shoulder seasons, right? You got spring bear where it's still semi-chilly sometimes, and then you've got, I guess depending on when you go, and then it used to be October mule deer was cold, but anymore, man, I'll be sweating in October.
Oh, man. Gosh, even on into early November this year, we were sweating, But yeah, I agree with you. Werther's Originals.
Yeah,
that's a go-to for me.
Yeah,
I love those things.
Yeah,
but But yeah, it's interesting. So take me to if you had a trip that you could say, my food was so dialed in. Talk to me about that.
That would have been the Doll Sheep hunt in Alaska.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Now, most people haven't experienced this type of caloric expenditure. When you go to Alaska, and I haven't been, so I can't speak firsthand, but I've talked to plenty of people, including yourself, that have. Talk about the demand.
Well, aside from the demand, it was. I would say that it was, most dialed because it was the one that I had to give the most thought to. Number one, for the pure fact of how far we were going in. Okay. Number two, for how long we were going in for. So I really had, and number three, like pack space. I really had to be aware of, I can't take the whole kitchen sink. So, this was a hike-in hunt. We had to go in 20 miles before we reached the spot that we were going to hunt. And we were going in for somewhere between 10 and 12 days.
So it probably took you a couple days to get there.
A couple days to get there, a couple days to get out.
You planned on 10 days once you got into the hunt?
The travel time was planned in that. So we knew we had 2 days on 2 days of hiking on either end of that, and then the amount of time that we were planning to hunt once we were in there. And so taking in all of your gear like usual, plus it's Alaska, and so you've got everything. You've got rain, you've got insulation, you've got gaiters, weapon, spot, everything. Wow. And then your food. So you had to think, how am I going to meet the nutrition demands without blowing my pack space out? And as much as I'd like to, I can't take everything that I want. I mean, I can't. So really had to be detailed on that. Now, I think that this is also a good example, though, to talk about, well, how did you get your protein in? Because that was a challenge being back there and being really limited on options. The only thing that I have found to really work in this situation to try to meet that is making some DIY type of stuff. And so what I leaned on were really three things. My dehydrated meal at night, which, you're, for the most part, especially if you're buying a commercial product, you're going to be at 30 to 44 grams of protein. My breakfast in the morning, which was a really high calorie DIY protein granola that I had made. And then midday, I had some DIY high protein, we'll call them muffins, but they weren't like a cakey muffin as much as like almost like a combination,
like a biscuit,
almost like a no bake, like a no bake.
Okay.
Combined with a bar type of a deal.
Okay.
And so between those three things, and then, a couple little things kind of woven in there that really weren't protein based, but had protein in them, I was able to get my protein in there. And as a matter of fact, we have the recipe for both of those on our website.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, we do.
So is that in your dehydrated?
Those are not, because they're not dehydrated.
Oh, okay.
But we do have recipes in there.
But you have recipes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have recipes on the website that we'll get links to, so people can go check out the granola and the bars. I call them bars, but I put them in these silicone muffin tins and then bake them so they pack better. So I would bake them, and then I would put them in a vac sealer, and so they just made these two really small protein like packed muffins. And I think between the two of those, you were sitting at 600 calories and 40 grams of protein.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. V2pnutrition.com, and you've got,
well, yeah, we'll get the direct link
in the description.
Yep.
But man, that's awesome.
But I really had to I just really had to sit down and think about that with the logistics of it all.
Right.
And that really dialed it in. Now, so those were, essentially my three main meals. This also was the hunt where I really drifted away from this idea of a breakfast and lunch and a dinner, and I just sort of looked at feedings of like feeding 1, feeding 2, feeding 3, feeding 4, feeding 5. Okay. So I was basically just trying to find, sometimes I wouldn't eat my quote granola until 5 p.m. Instead, I'd have something else earlier on. And so, I was dosing things in there to where I was eating throughout the course of the day. Part of those feedings were a package of gummy bears, or maybe lifesaver gummies on that for fast acting carbs. Yep. And I took one serving of those. I didn't take big bags of them. I took one serving, thinking if we're out in the day, I've got one dose here that's going to get me through a couple hours. So if we get on a group of rams or we're hiking and we don't have time to eat, this is at least going to hold me for a couple hours until we get the opportunity to eat.
That's a great tip.
And then I would also take in one dose of electrolytes with carbs. And so, like, you can use any brand that you want, from Scratch Labs to Tailwind to your over-the-counter Gatorade. I had a guy complete a pretty long distance hike on Tang, your average grocery store Tang.
I haven't seen or heard of Tang in years.
And so that can be great if you're just moving, your gut's not working for you, you've got that in a bottle mixed with water. You can just take occasional squeezes off of it or whatever. I really like on hunts. I have a green Gatorade bottle. I think they're $4 at Walmart. I can squeeze it. I like that more than something I've got to mess with the cap on or taking up half my bladder sleeve in my pack. I just pull it out, squeeze it, keep trucking. I'm not messing with lids and splashing and all this stuff. It's easier for me.
Okay.
And I can mix it, right? It's got a sealed cap to where I can mix this electrolyte drink if I wanted to too. I would take one of those a day too with me. So I've got my main, call it feedings. And then I've got one pack of these fast acting gummies of some kind if I get in a pinch. Mm-hmm. And then one pack of this, some sort of an electrolyte. And sometimes I would drink that hot. Like if we're glassing, I'd mix that and drink it hot.
Love that.
Yeah.
So you only had one pack of the electrolyte mix.
One pack of the electrolyte mix.
Okay.
Because my big days were coming in and going out.
Okay.
Right. And so there'd be other days where you're glassing all day and I didn't drink it, but I would use it. And I knew that going in. There will be days I probably don't need this. So if so, I'll use 2 coming out. So now I don't have, I've got 3 for going in, 3 for coming out, 2 per day just in case. I don't have that. I just, and you'll find that your behavior on the mountain adapts to that. You're like, I'll just save this in case I need it later. You're not, but when you're packing for everything, you're packing your fears, right? It's like, what if this happens and that scenario happens and this happens and that scenario happens? Then maybe I'll just throw 2 or 3 of those in there. And you find that when you're out there, all those contingencies you've built for, you're better at adapting than packing all that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and man, and you're talking Alaska. I think about Alaska, and quite honestly, because I've never done it, I've never gone up there, it kind of scares me to death. Really does. It's on you, and it's on, maybe the guide that you're with or something, on whether you're going to live or die. There's so much that can happen. But we're talking about food, okay? What would your so you broke it down into 5 meals? Is that right? 5 feedings?
Yeah.
I love feedings.
Yep. So essentially what I'm targeting is I don't want more than 3 hours going by without me getting some kind of fuel in me. Even if I'm not moving a lot, like I just don't want to, if I'm not hungry for it, I'm not going to force it.
Okay.
I've never not been hungry for it though. Right. And my, I don't want more than that amount of time going by for a couple of reasons. Number one, your average meal is going to take somewhere between 3 and 4 hours to break down. Your average mixed meal, and mixed meal means it's a combination of proteins, carbs, and fats. It's not just straight carbs. Number two, if I've got the opportunity, I may not in an hour. I may see something I want to go after, and now I'm leaning on gummies and this other stuff that's like not. I want to eat if I can. I don't want bags of just sweet stuff. So if I have the time and I'm sitting and glassing and this window is coming by, I'd rather eat. And so I'll take advantage of it and eat, right? And so if you think about from the point that you wake up to the point that things start slowing down, for the most part, 5 windows is going to cover nearly 15 hours. And so if you're talking about, anywhere from early season to mid-October or so, that's going to cover pretty much every hunt.
Yeah. So talk to me about your breakfast. So this DIY oatmeal, or granola that you make, right?
Yep. So I went granola instead of oats because it's going to be higher concentration of carbs.
Okay.
Because they generally make it with honey or something with it, right? So I went that as my base instead of just straight oats. And then I used some coconut milk, dry coconut milk.
Okay.
For flavor, but it's also a little higher in calories. Shredded coconut, couple chocolate chips, one scoop
fat in there,
1 scoop of protein.
Okay.
Yeah, because the granola has no fat.
Right.
Protein has no fat, so I needed some.
Yep.
But I'm not going to be overly emphatic about it to where I'm hauling in olive oil bottles.
Sure.
So I decided, you know what? A great way to make this taste good and to add some fat calories to it would be adding in some dry coconut powder, dry coconut milk powder, shredded coconut. I added some chocolate chips to it, and then I threw some nuts into walnuts and pumpkin seeds, just because I like them.
Yeah. So what protein powder were you using?
I get Optimum Nutrition Whey Isolate.
Okay.
I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get a penny from them. They don't know who I am. It's pretty available.
You just like it.
It mixes well. There's tons of different flavors, so you can make any combination of stuff that you want. The profile's good. It's like your cheeseburger, right? It's just you can't go wrong with it.
Oh, that's awesome. How many grams of protein per serving?
24. Or in the breakfast there was between 30 and 40, but per scoop of whey 24.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I my go-to is First Form. And I really like their whey protein isolate. So I love that because we were talking last episode, and we've talked some this episode about how difficult it is to get your protein needs into a hunting type scenario. When you're on the mountain. I'm starting every day, and I've told you this in my program. I start every day just because I have for a long time with some Premier Protein. It's 30 grams of protein, and bam, there's my protein right there. But I can't take that with me out on the mountain. So you're taking the powder, pre-building your granola. So are you adding water to it, I assume?
Yep.
And mixing it up. Man, you do that hot on the mountain, and that is some good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and I would do it sheep hunt as the same example, trying to be cognizant of how many fuel canisters I could carry. I would just do this cold, but it's good hot too. And I would put this in a vac seal. Right, so they sell pre-formed vac seals that are, I think, 6 by 8 inches, if I remember right. And I would fill that, make it as flat as possible, suck all the air out, cut the top off, and I would use that as my bowl. Sometimes I would eat half glass, eat another half a little while later.
Oh, okay.
And just kind of, and I would mix it in that, that black container that comes with your jet boil, that little plastic.
Yeah.
Junky thing.
That I never use.
Yeah, that you never use. I would mix it in that. It's like a little bowl, and then I would eat it out of the vac seal later.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So then after that, would you go to more of a snack type deal, or would?
Yeah, so I would take, and I had a combination of spicy trail mix, salami and mozzarella cheese, like those low-fat mozzarella cheese. Remind me to come back to that.
Like the Baby Bell?
No, the cheese sticks. The cheese sticks.
Oh, okay.
And a Snickers bar, those muffins, the dehydrated meal, and then the electrolyte bag and the gummy bear bag.
Okay.
And that was pushing over 35 to 4 per day.
That's awesome.
Now, I went with the low-fat cheese sticks because they don't, the fact that their fat content is lower, they're less likely to spoil, and they don't get flimsy. If you get like a full-fat cheese stick, they get real oily and nasty, and these didn't do that. So, okay. 2 of those, 100 calories, 14 grams of protein, I think it is. And then maybe a couple pieces of salami in there with it. And I'd kind of just like, I loved it because there was no real rhyme or reason to it, which I liked. Some days that lunch would be a handful of the spicy trail mix, a couple pieces of salami, one of the string cheese, one of the muffins, and then later on I might have another muffin, and then later on the rest of the spicy trail mix. And so it was nice to have that variety of different things kind of based on what sounded good in the moment, as opposed to this is my lunch every day, I'm all in on, God forbid, a tuna wrap on a tortilla again, and
right.
Just trying to make that work.
Right. Yeah. Are you carrying tuna?
No.
No, me neither.
No, didn't carry it.
But tortillas? Now, I will carry some tortillas.
Yeah. I will occasionally do half of my evening meal on a tortilla rather than a full evening meal. So there would be days where I do like one meal broken up into 2 days, but I'd bring a tortilla to wrap it on, like if it made sense, like chili mac or whatever.
Yeah. Tortillas in the backcountry, especially when you're dealing with a dehydrated or a freeze-dried meal in the evening, tortillas kind of take it up a notch.
Let me tell you what takes it up a notch.
Come on, bring it.
Let me tell you what takes it up a notch. This year we packed into Hunt Mule Deer. It was like the second weekend of October, and a gnarly storm came through the mountain. But at our house, my wife and boys occasionally and I like them too, we just don't eat them that much, but Fritos scoops. When the bag starts to get fairly low and you got all these little pieces left, we call them nugs, right?
Okay.
Package the nugs and take those with you, and then take a chili mac or something like that. And when you're up there, you can take the chili mac, pour it over the rest of the nugs, and that's money. I won't pack in a whole bag of, I won't do a bunch of Fritos because they just get smashed. But I'll take in those, if we've got any left, pour some chili mac over the top of it.
That's solid, man.
It is.
And you know what? Fritos make good fire starter too. Did you know?
All the will, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, man, when you talk nutrition for a hunt like you're talking about with your sheep hunt, I mean that's the pinnacle. I mean, if you can get it dialed in there, that's awesome. Tell me about one time when you didn't get it right.
That's a good question.
Maybe you tried something that just it didn't work out.
Easy. This became the catalyst for Valley to Peak.
Okay.
In the sense of, episode 1 sort of shared my story of how I became dietitian, and in spite of not living a healthy life, I was always really interested in sports and a big sports fan. And so part of my weight loss was I did start exercising, did start enjoying that, and so learned how to really fuel to facilitate performance improvements there, which naturally led to me having a really, really big interest in fueling athletes. So I knew a lot about, how to fuel athletes for the stick and ball sports and running, etc. Move out here. First backpacking trip I went on was with my wife, and a friend of mine at work and her husband took us up into the high country, big high country, first backpacking trip. And not only was all of our gear fully synthetic, really heavy, I'm packing in cans of tuna, like just not knowing anything what I'm doing. Well, leading into that, I had obviously, like I shared, lost a lot of weight. So I'm still eating like I'm at home, really, fairly lean, relatively low in calories, whatever. Go on this hike and I fall apart by the time we hit this first lake, and we're still supposed to climb up this avalanche chute to an upper saddle. It's another 1,000 feet. And I mean, I have just got every symptom in the book of bonking, no food, and just feel terrible. So we get to the top of this lake and they start giving me tons of Gatorade, and I ended up taking a nap. It was actually a fairly bad situation. Anyway, come off of the mountain. I'm like, well, what happened? Because that sucked. First backpacking trip. And as many people as seem like they love this, that is not what I love. That was not fun.
That wasn't what you signed up for.
No. So sold all of our synthetic gear and immediately bought my wife and I just each bought a down sleeping bag and some lighter stuff. But the next hike that we went on, which was still that same season, only a handful of weeks later, decided to apply my knowledge on normal endeavors, like normal athletic pursuits or whatever, to this trip. And boy, it made a world of difference. And so that's when like the aha happened, and from there on out, we really focused on trying to help people have energy and perform well in the mountains. And, it definitely helps.
Man, that's awesome. Well, man, so we end every episode with rapid fire. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Now, we did skip it on the first episode, but we'll make up for that here. Okay. So the way rapid fire works is I'm going to give you one word or another word, and you're going to pick. No explanation needed. It is rapid fire. You're just going to have to choose a word. Okay? We're going to learn a little bit more about
this. Is hard for the it depends guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And you're how old?
39.
39. Where you got the big 4-0 coming?
Big 4-0.
That's just a number.
Yeah. That's what they say.
All right. Cash or Venmo?
Oh, cash.
Call or text?
Call.
Base camp or backpack hunt?
Oh, backpack hunt.
Carbs or fat?
Carbs.
Yes. Steak or chicken?
I'm committed for life.
You committed?
Chicken.
Yes. Okay. Chicken. Deer or elk?
To eat or hunt?
Both.
To eat, oh, I love them both, but let's go elk. To hunt, no question, mule deer.
All right. Rifle or bow?
Do I want meat or don't I? Gosh, love them both. Hunt them both. Rifle, though.
Okay. And the last one, cardio or weights?
Preference or for health?
Preference.
I mean, man, I like them both. Can I ask more questions?
No. Rapid fire.
Weights.
Weights. All right. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Man, this has been a blast. We've got to do this again, and we'll probably get into dehydrated versus freeze-dried. And just, we can go down so many more rabbit trails, but I just really thank you for coming by. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. And I love the topic. I really like you guys, and so we can do this much as you want.
Awesome.
But yeah, if people are interested in any of that, Valley to Peak Nutrition kind of houses everything, which is a podcast that we've got. We've got resources and guides and self-guided courses and coaching if you felt like you needed that. And it's all at v2pnutrition.com. All the social media stuff is under V2P Nutrition, and the number is 2. It's not spelled out. So yeah, if people are interested, they can just Google any of that and they'll be able to find probably what they're looking for.
Awesome. And I tell you what, if you want to get deep on any of these topics that we're talking about, or nutrients, or just anything out there with human nutrition from performance and health basis, go check out their podcast. Go check out their website. It's awesome. I can't get enough of it. So again, thank you so much for coming on. I almost forgot. I've got to pay bills real quick. That's what Chris always says anyway. So what we do is we do want our audience, if you like, go on there, like, subscribe, do all the things, but make a comment. We like comments. We like you to share that with your buddies out there. We're going to give away this hat right now to a lucky winner, and this guy made a comment. It's Chuck-82. So Chuck, if you're out there listening, shoot us an email at info@initialascent.com and put podcast winner on there. Anyway, it's entitled Pack and a Prayer. Gave us a 5-star review. He says, I have 4 name brand packs and none fit me right. I recently received my Initial Ascent and know this is the one. Very impressed. It feels like a back brace. Can't wait to load it up on my late season hunt. I have listened to every episode and love how you start every episode or every podcast with a prayer and maintain your faith throughout the story. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Chuck. We really, really appreciate that. Again, thank you, Kyle. And we'll catch you guys later on the Mountain Dude Podcast. Until next time, keep your eyes on the summit. This is the Mountain Dude Podcast, signing off.